Following on from a feature we ran some 6 years ago, here's another round of fails Microsoft has made, mostly in this current console generation. We're not here to blast Xbox. Indeed, Sony and PlayStation are in a bit of a quandary at the moment too, but there's clear evidence that Microsoft has mismanaged the handling of Xbox, making some fundamental errors in how their hardware is presented to consumers. The Xbox Series X and S is a remarkable console, and Xbox has been responsible for some of the most memorable gaming experiences in the past 2 decades. However, those times seem firmly in the past as Microsoft repeatedly makes the same mistakes. Underpowered Xbox Series S. Releasing a more economical variant of its current-gen console lineup seemed like a shrewd consumer-first move by Microsoft in 2020. After all, for a significant price drop, you could still enjoy some of the Xbox Series X's marquee features on Series S, such as Xbox Velocity Architecture, DirectX Ray Tracing, and Quick Resume. It's those downgrades that are starting to stifle the Series S's place in the market. Now we're in 2024. Less processing power and lower max resolution, the principal features that are starting to become a headache for developers and players alike. Stipulating games release on both Series X and S. And on that note, Microsoft's Play Anywhere ethos seems sound on paper, but in practice it's rearing an ugly head. Not wanting to limit Series S player access to the latest games, Microsoft have stipulated to developers that all new games must be released to both Series X and S consoles. Consequently, some developers are now concentrating their efforts on PS5 and PC, with Xbox releases coming later, most notably something like Baldur's Gate 3. Furthermore, some developers are demanding Microsoft drop this policy as modern games are releasing with subpar performance in order to get them functioning on both consoles. 1TB storage. Now, this isn't a problem exclusive to Xbox. Indeed, the PS5 comes with less usable disk space than the Xbox Series X and S, but surely the bigwigs at both companies could have foreseen 1TB not being anywhere near enough storage space. Just look at the file size of Microsoft's first-party exclusive. Forza Motorsport 7 launched at 130 GB, although subsequent patches have shrunk that down by approximately 25 GB. While Starfield is pushing 140 GB. With these 3 games installed, games Microsoft wants you to play, don't forget, you're pushing the limit of internal storage and may be required to fork out further coin for extra space. Lack of first-party games. This has been a problem since the Xbox One's era, but there's no denying Microsoft has a dearth of first-party titles and exclusives, especially when compared to PlayStation. Their core philosophy behind their hardware has been muddled for a few years now. Concerning and concentrating on Kinect, TV, all-in-one entertainment systems has led to taking their eye off the fundamental reason people buy consoles. Yep, to play games. Telling customers Xbox sales aren't important. Sure, Microsoft's overall gaming revenue appears on an upward trend, but the latest update from Microsoft's CFO Amy Hood states that console sales have been weaker than expected, and they're expected to plummet further as the years progress. And it's Microsoft's Play Anywhere mantra which is to blame. They've stated that Xbox sales aren't necessarily important, and Xbox games themselves should be playable on a variety of devices, many of which you might already own. Microsoft downplaying the need to own a console may be a significant contributor to its sluggish sales. Accidentally leaking own confidential documents. In September 2023, during their legal tussle with the Federal Trade Commission over its merger with Activision, Microsoft uploaded its own redacted, highly confidential documents to the District Court of the Northern District of California website. A colossal facepalm here. Contained within was an Xbox roadmap detailing a diskless Xbox Series X with plans for a new controller, plus a release window of the next Xbox console. Some out-of-date info regarding the Bethesda release titles was also in the mix. Mistakes happen, sure, but this one is mega. Violating children's privacy laws. In a separate charge from the Federal Trade Commission, Microsoft were ordered to pay $20 million in fines for violating children's privacy laws in June 2023. The charge pertains to Microsoft collecting personal information from children signed up to Xbox without a procedure in place to notify their parents or obtain parental consent. To make matters worse, Microsoft were also found guilty of illegally retaining and sharing the personal information they acquired. For a company concerned with growth and revenue, this fine can't have been easy to swallow. Some good will come out of this though, with Microsoft bolstering protection rights for children under the age of 13 on its platforms, a positive for them and their parents. Spending $75 billion on acquisitions. Flouting exorbitant sums of money on mergers and acquisitions isn't necessarily a bad thing. Microsoft knew they needed to bolster their game lineup, so spending big on Activision and Bethesda owner ZeniMax Media makes sense. But can they really argue it strengthened their place in the market? Console sales have plateaued, and Starfield's exclusive release didn't turn out to be the hardware seller both Microsoft and Bethesda hoped. Time will tell if these acquisitions bear fruit, but for now the future looks uncertain. Game Pass failing to meet revenue targets. Subscription services are intended to support bottom lines, but both Xbox and PlayStation are slowly learning this model isn't sustainable long term. In the capitalist climate of chasing consistent year-on-year growth, should something fail to meet targets, then it seems there's company-wide panic to rectify perceived losses. Game Pass growth in 2022 was 2%, with 2023 less than that, so perhaps this slowing of new subscribers has contributed to Microsoft's brutal decision to shut numerous studios under its wing. Closing Tango Gameworks and Arcane Austin. And on that note, esteemed studios in Microsoft's canon were suddenly and brutally shut. In what is a move seen replicated across the industry, Microsoft's decision to close Tango Gameworks and Arcane Austin seems especially cruel. Tango Gameworks, famous for The Evil Within, produced one of the standout titles of last year in Hi-Fi Rush. Salt was well and truly rubbed into their wounds, as only 24 hours after shutting the studio did Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty claim the company needs smaller, more prestigious titles. If Hi-Fi Rush, winner of numerous accolades, doesn't fit that mold, then who does? Similarly with Arcane Austin, sure, Redfall underwhelmed, but a studio of Dishonored and Prey pedigree being pushed to shift focus away from what they're good at screams of a bad decision all around.
Whoa.
The handling of Fable and closure of Lionhead in 2016. Microsoft has previously been seen shutting down seemingly successful studios, as they did with Lionhead Studios in 2016, a developer famous for Black and White and Fable, strategy and action RPG titles respectively. After Microsoft's acquisition, Lionhead were forced to switch to developing live service games, with Fable Legends being the entry point they had in the works before Microsoft, presumably unhappy with its progress, shuttered the project and closed the studio. If they nurtured a studio to work on titles and genres they're skilled at, maybe Lionhead Studios would still be around today. Mishandling of Halo brand. Halo was the jewel in Microsoft's crown, a platform seller that propelled Microsoft's first console attempt into the big league, enabling them to go toe-to-toe with Sony and Nintendo. Switching to an open-world campaign and free-to-play multiplayer mode was not without its risks, but in the months following Infinite's launch in 2021, hype dwindled through lack of meaningful content. Ex-devs at 343 Industries blame poor leadership at Microsoft for Halo's downfall, whilst Matt Booty of Xbox Game Studios admits there wasn't a plan in place to sustain such content. Redfall. I mean, need we say more? Arcane Austin are better than this, but their switch to first-person open-world shooting clearly wasn't in their wheelhouse. Redfall was lambasted for poor gameplay, a weak story, technical fallacies, and boring level design. As aforementioned, Arcane Austin has now been shut down by Microsoft. Someone's gotta take the fall for Redfall's failure, right? Job layoffs in January 2024. 3 months after acquiring Activision for $69 billion, Microsoft saw fit to lay off non-insignificant numbers of their workforce in January 2024. The cut, totaling 1,900 jobs, represented 9% of Microsoft's Xbox gaming division. This news followed 10,000 jobs lost at Microsoft in 2023, and whilst this is an issue across the global tech sector, it massively stings for a corporation with pockets as deep as Microsoft's to be jettisoning staff almost at free will. Not learning from past mistakes. If this feature serves to do one thing, it's to highlight that Microsoft simply aren't learning from their past mistakes. Arcane Austin's closure is grimly reflective of Lionhead some 8 years earlier. A first-party lineup still bereft of numerous quality titles. Muddled strategy, Microsoft's eyes seemingly on too many things at once, too fixated on growth and nurturing what they already have. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.